Japan has been engaging in monetary and fiscal stimulus measures in order to keep the stock market afloat. The stagnation has been incredibly historic, a first of its kind. Never before has such a large-scale operation taken place with absolutely no positive effect. And yet, here we are. You came here for the truth. Today we are going to talk about Japan, the Fed, and so many others. Let's begin. Japan Post Bank Co. plans to spend an initial 100 billion yen, that's about $1 billion, directly buying stocks. Now remember that this is in addition to what the company already owns, which is 2 trillion yen in stocks. Where does the company get this money from? Well, they're getting it from the central banks, they're getting it from individuals who are trying to save their money in these banks, who are giving their money to the fund managers and everything else. So the money makes its way through the system one way or another. And a lot of people believe that the commercial banks are separate from central banks. And while yes, to some degree they are, that's a fact. However, they all work together. And who are they working together with? You and I and maybe a few of our friends? No, it's us versus them. You're not part of them. You're part of us, I assure you. You can invest in these companies, you can do what you want, but you're not part of them. They are working against us. Remember that very clearly. When they're buying these shares, they are not doing it in your favor, I assure you. Depending how you want to look at that, it's a fact. Now, a lot of people will say, you know what, banks aren't going to do this. Banks are not going to print up money to save stocks. Well, let's just take a trip down memory lane. This is the Federal Reserve's $16 trillion bailout that took place a few years ago. Time really flies. Well, actually they say it right here, 2007 to 2010. Some of the companies which they gave to, Citigroup, Morgan Stanley, Merrill Lynch, Bank of America, Barclays, Bear Stearns, Goldman Sachs, and all of the other big names. Every single bank you've ever heard of received a donation from the Fed. Even banks in Canada, even banks basically in any country, wherever you live, there's a good chance that the Federal Reserve bailed them out a few years ago. A lot of people don't believe it. A lot of people ridiculed me and said that I was a liar. Well, I keep showing you the facts and I keep receiving this ridicule, but it's okay. It's a fact that the Federal Reserve bailed out countless institutions during the financial crisis. A lot of people don't understand it and therefore they get upset. Well, this is the facts presented to you yet again here at the Money GPS. Let's go on. The ever-widening wage gap. Something that I talk about all the time because whenever you go to any developing nation, you see something that's very clear, and that is there is no middle class. It's the same in virtually any developing nation, all of them that I've studied anyway, the ones I've been to and everything else. You see this wage gap, this disparity in between the haves and the have-nots, and it's huge in some places and it's fairly large in others, but you can just see it right here. This chart below shows the growing changes since 1973 to wages among men at the top and the middle of the earnings distribution. Look at this. They just keep getting more and more and more, and yet everybody else has to suffer. So a lot of people will say, well, why don't we take from this here and send it down below? Doesn't really work like that, okay? Because the people at the top of the top, you know, these technocrats, they have created laws, created this system of government to ensure that you do not get a piece of that. And it's not really the way it works. The money is designed, the whole system, the monetary system is designed that you can't get any of that. It's just the way it works. Look at this other chart here. Diverging income trajectories, real family income indexed to 1973 across the distribution, 1947 to 2014. You can see this here, basically just splitting up the percentiles. Essentially, the wealthiest people have more money than ever before. Everybody else, you get the short end of the stick. Shouldn't surprise anyone. This was interesting. Bitcoin, the market cap of Bitcoin actually surpassing Netflix, PayPal, heading towards Microsoft. And it's something to take note of. Of course, it's not a stock. It works differently. But it's just to see the amount of investment in a particular asset. And you could see that Bitcoin has obviously done very, very well. A lot of people don't like it. There's, you know, a fury back and forth on the comments on my videos here. And my opinion is really not important. All that matters is that the market cap is continuing to increase. So I wanted to bring that to you. I thought it was interesting. The S&P 500, okay? One of the, I should say, two of the primary indicators when people are looking at the technicals are the 50-day moving average and the 200-day moving average. And there's literally thousands of others. But this is the ones that, these are the ones that come up often. Look at this. The percentage of the S&P members above the 50-day moving average just took a nosedive, it appears. And that is happening, let's say, over the last month or two. Something to take a look at. I personally think that it's still maintaining my position that it is only a few select stocks which have caused this market to rise. You could see this here, the percentage of the S&P members above their 200-day moving average, same instance here, and this goes back from previous to that. Look at how, when you break it down to what this really is, central banks around the world have been engaging in these same policies. They're doing so now. They give money to the commercial banks. The commercial banks are able to do so. Look at countries like China, for example, how they give money to their central bank, gives money to their subsidiaries, and then those subsidiaries end up buying shares, end up buying debt, end up basically bailing out the corporations, other entities. And that's the way it all works. You don't have to see it directly. You have to, you know, sometimes there's a few steps involved here. Okay, and last but not least, speaking of China, Made in America will soon grace the labels of t-shirts produced by a Chinese company in Little Rock. So they have robots. And think about this for just a moment. When you could make it for 33 cents. The cost per shirt is 33 cents. No human labor could ever compete with a 33-cent shirt. This is unbelievable. And they'll say made in America, people will feel good buying it, even though it is a Chinese company, even though it is replacing labor, even though they probably only need a small handful of people to operate the whole facility and robots doing the rest of the work. People will be all for it because it has made in America. You need to be very clear on what you're getting. And I think that, as I always say, robots will replace much of the workforce. It's simply a matter of time. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. I do appreciate your thumbs up. I appreciate your comments, your subscriptions to this YouTube channel as we proceed beyond 65,000, hopefully soon. Hopefully we can get up to that goal that I have of 100,000 subscribers. It's a goal I've set for myself for this YouTube channel. I have so many great people out there who are watching all of my videos, and I'm just ecstatic about the positivity that I get every day. And I wanted to say thank you once again to all of you.